Next stop, bus station.
Swindon's current bus station dates back to the 1980s. Concrete separations for the bays, the red iron girdering and the thickened perspex, which hasn't been cleaned for a number of years. But in 2004, Swindon Borough Council announced the proposed redevelopment of the town centre area, including the bus station. Nearly 2 decades on, this ageing structure will finally be replaced with a new transport interchange along Fleming Way called the Bus Boulevard at a cost of £33 million. Here in Fleming Way, work has now started with the demolition of the small multi-storey car park in John Street. But what will be the benefits of the boulevard? And will it be value for money? Deputy Leader of the Council, Gary Sumner, is also responsible for transport on the Council's Cabinet.
The Bus Boulevard is a £32.5 million project to create a new entryway into Swindon, which will be a bus exchange. So it will be lined in a much different way to how it is now by bus stops. It will have turning areas for services which run into and then straight back out of town again. It will have a holding area for other services, so where the John Street car park is now, that will come down and that will leave a small interchange area, which again much more open, but it's where some of the local bus services will stop over whilst they're waiting to pick up passengers and then go back on out again. It will be for buses, for taxis, for pedestrians and cyclists. It will have dedicated cycleways. It will be greener than you can see it now. It will have trees. It will have a nicer central area, which will be pleasing to the eye. It will be lowered. That's the important thing as well. So you will be able to walk without the underpass seamlessly from the railway station past the new Zurich building at Kimmerfields and straight into the town centre without having gone up or down steps or ramps. So it will transform the way it looks, and as you drive into town, it will give it a more modern look, and we hope in terms of promoting bus use that residents will see that as a very nice, safe way to take a journey into and out of town. So lots of the new developments around town will have bus connectivity, and we're going to have a park and ride out at the Great Stall East in the New Easter Villages. So we hope that the bus services will become more popular.
It's pretty to say this is a waste of public money.
It's not a waste of public money, but I think many people, particularly many armchair critics sitting on social media, they will say, Swindon Borough Council, stop doing this, that and the other, you've got to do something about the town centre. I'm looking at the town centre here, we don't own it. We own Kimmerfields, and you can see that we are doing something about that. There is a crane on the sky, and there are further plans for Kimmerfields which are moving ahead. But the Bus Boulevard is something that we can get involved in. It's not just a bus exchange, it's a place shaping exercise, a very important one, which will give a new face to the town centre, and it will definitely lift the existing town centre and improve it.
It's going to be a different area. Will the roads around the area, like Corporation Street, Manchester Road, will it have capacity for the town's traffic?
If you look at it now, it is open to traffic now. It's a slightly convoluted way to get into it. 1 or 2 cars passing us. It's mostly buses and motorcyclists. It's not that busy. We are doing, I think something that probably has been missed by some people is that we are doing a change to the Whalebridge junction, which will allow vehicle movements from Corporation Street to go straight across the junction, the new signalised junction, into Princes Street, which hasn't happened so far. We've had this somewhat counterintuitive arrangement where you leave Corporation Street, you have to go left up to the roundabout and then do a U-turn to come back round past the Jury's Inn to go up Princes Street. We've corrected that, and that's going to be put into place, which is good. We discussed that with officers, said that it was an aspiration that we felt it would be an improvement, and they've looked at it and it does lead to a betterment in terms of the road use, so very happy about that. And that's also where the new cycle routes will start down in front of the Jury's Inn, and there'll be segregated cycle and pedestrian crossings as well as cycleways.
Swindon's Labour councillors have previously been opposed to the Bus Boulevard scheme. Councillor Jane Milner-Barry is the shadow spokesman for transport and climate issues.
I think the problem with the Bus Boulevard is we can have a beautiful Bus Boulevard, but if we don't also have a really, really good bus service, it's not really going to do the trick, which is to get more people onto public transport.
It also replaces the ageing bus station, and I know the aspirations of this scheme is to improve the gateway into the town centre. Do you think that will do that?
I think it'll be great, and I think it's the idea of getting rid of the underpass is really nice, because it's not a nice underpass. It's never going to be. I think we do have this problem in Swindon where you get areas cut off from other areas, either by the railway or by major roads. So anything which joins up different bits of Swindon, especially if you've got the town centre cut in half, that's a major problem. So I think it's a good scheme. I think it needs to be accompanied by a better bus service. How the central government is funding things now is it funds capital projects, but it doesn't give local government, as we know, it just doesn't give local government the funding it needs to run a decent local government service.
Ian Larrard from In Swindon and Director of Business West says good transport infrastructure is key to attracting any new businesses to the town.
It's vital, and the improved connectivity that a Bus Boulevard all in one site will have, it's great news, and it's been coming for some while, but now it's, as you just said, the demolition, or the start of the demolition of the car park, and I think starting next year, and a couple of years I think after that it will be completed. So exciting times, really.
Will this help encourage perhaps more businesses to come into the town centre?
One of the reasons behind the Bus Boulevard is to free up some land with regards to the Kimmerfields development, and hopefully the Zurich building will be a catalyst for many more buildings to come there. And I know a lot of other homes and offices will be changing as well, so our town centres will look different, but there will still be offices there, and crikey, our town centre is so close to the railway station. It's an obvious place for people to be locating at places like Kimmerfields and other offices there.
So what do the bus operators here in Swindon think of the changes?
Alex Chutter, General Manager of Swindon Bus. Hopefully overall, the aspiration, once everything is completed, and I appreciate this is going to probably take some years to get to full completion, but we'll have ultimately a very modern facility to encourage people to use public transport in the Swindon town. And hopefully it makes it slightly more accessible. It improves the overall vibrancy of the actual town centre itself, and hopefully gets people getting back into their town centres when other high streets might be struggling, I guess. You're going to be sharing Fleming Way with Stagecoach, the other bus operator in Swindon. Is there going to be enough capacity? Because they obviously use the bus station at the moment. Yeah, so we've worked in some detail with Swindon Borough Council and Stagecoach, for that matter, on various designs of the Bus Boulevard, and I'd say what is at kind of the design stage now is some way removed from what we saw originally, and that part of that is about kind of exploiting the capacity that Fleming Way has. It incorporates some National Express services as well, because obviously that's very important for people getting to the town centre. So what we've got in its current state, we believe will be obviously ready to go, accounting for a bit of growth as well over those years of the build out, and hopefully, whilst there may be two or more operators at that point, we don't know, it will just make the usage of the bus kind of even easier for those looking to use it, really, and have a bit more of an interchange place. Because if you look at it, the bus station, I think it's now 40 years old, so at least it's going to improve that area around Kimmerfields, and of course with the development that the council hope to bring to that area. It's going to take, I think, a couple of years. The council have indicated they'd like to complete it by around 2024.
There will be some disruption to services while Fleming Way is closed. I'm sure you've got or you're planning contingencies already?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, obviously, being the dominant operator on Fleming Way itself, which is going to be the main place which is closed during the works, we're probably more impacted by that than Stagecoach themselves. So with that, yeah, there will be some terminus bus stops, I guess, and some boarding bus stops which will move around the town centre. And into the current bus station itself during the build-out period. So yeah, there's certainly plans in place for us. We're working with Swindon Borough Council now on where those kind of revised stops will be for those durations, to make sure that people who are using the town centre isn't necessarily at any more detriment than what they are on Fleming Way. And there's obviously the safety concerns of them having to negotiate, a live building site as well, effectively. So, lots of plans in place. And obviously, when it gets nearer the time, then there will be a really effective communications package put out as well to make sure that people do know where they can get on and off and where buses are now leaving from. Really, I've been in Swindon now for just over 4 years since Go Ahead acquired the Thames Down that was. I think that the designs that we've seen have kind of evolved with the times, and I'd like to think that Swindon will be at the forefront of delivering something that is future-proofed for into the future, and hopefully it gives them a bit of a head start and a march on other local towns and cities around us, which means that people are more inclined to come and visit Swindon than perhaps others.
The other bus operator in the town is Stagecoach. We did invite them to take part in this programme. They said no one was available for interview, but they did issue this statement. Stagecoach West supports Swindon Borough Council's plans to invest in bus facilities in the town. The investment in Swindon's Bus Boulevard marks an important step towards making bus travel quicker and easier than ever before for passengers in the local area. New facilities will also benefit residents looking to make multi-module journeys, for example, hopping on a bus following a walk, cycle or train journey. So is the multi-million-pound project of value for money? Councillor Gary Sumner again.
I think it will be value for money because we have to start somewhere. We can't personally afford to compulsorily purchase the old Debenhams building or any other less than pleasant looking building around town. We have the residents' money to look after and to spend wisely. This is something which is funded to just under £28 million by government funding. We've been very good at attracting government funding around Swindon, and that means that the investment that Swindon Borough Council is making and on behalf of residents is much less. But it's an important investment because as we genuinely believe that this will shape the future of the town. It will be the entry to the cultural quarter. The Zurich building, Zurich made it very clear in the past that in order to stay in the town, their staff didn't feel safe in the underpasses. They felt that was not a good place to be, and it does. It feels like a damp, dark journey into town, in a modern town centre, in a forward-looking town centre, which will have more people living in it in the future. We need to make sure that people feel safe.
One of the criticisms at the moment is that the town centre is lacking.
Yeah, it is lacking, but as I say, we have to look and act wisely in the things that we can do and the things that we can't do. So, we're looking at the area around Debenhams. We don't own this area. We don't own Regent Street. We don't own Canal Walk. What we do have is some control over some of the other parts of town, and those things are happening. And we hope that by working on these things, we can be a catalyst for change. So I've had regular workshop meetings with town centre business owners, including out-of-town developers like Urban Splash, and they've been really excited about what's going on at Kimmerfields. And if a company like Urban Splash that do developments in Manchester, Liverpool, big cities, if they're looking at Swindon and saying we're excited about what you're doing, why didn't we know about this? Then that means to me that we're doing the right things, that we're going to attract investment in the future.
You look at Gloucester, who a couple of years ago opened a new transport hub. It had a architectural building there, which is more like a bus station, but it had cafes, conveniences for passengers to wait inside. Here in Fleming Way, it's just going to be a series of bus stops.
We're hoping that the services which will cater to people's needs will grow up around it. So it's taken an enormous amount of time to, in some cases, compulsorily purchase pieces of land which form part of the new Bus Boulevard. But actually, the businesses, again, the ones that we're talking to regularly, are excited to know about the changes that are going to happen, which might affect the viability of their business. It might make their buildings more viable, and we hope to see lots of these buildings where the upper stories will be converted to residential accommodation, and hopefully good quality residential accommodation. But the ground floor, it's nice to see them having an active frontage with again more cafes, bars, restaurants, more independent businesses. I mean, we've had 18 independent businesses open in the town centre in the past year, during a pandemic. That's a testament to the way that things are going. Chains are moving out, independents are moving in. They'll add to the vibrancy of the town centre. We want down here to feel more like Wood Street.
So when can we expect all this to be finished and people be getting on the new bus stops and that to their journeys in around the town?
Well, the John Street car park demolition started on the 20th of September. That will be completed before Christmas, and then the next stage of works on the Bus Boulevard itself starts in March of next year. In conjunction with the bus companies, we've had a discussion about whether or not a temporary bus station in the future, or bus depot, was required. But actually what they've asked for, and we're going to accommodate, is we're going to improve some of the other bus stops or bus layovers around town, just to increase the capacity on those a little bit. That's what they felt that was needed, so we're going to accommodate that. So for the first 6 months after March of next year, you won't really see a change in terms of, it will be some of the off-site works which are started, and then once those are completed, then you'll see Fleming Way this section closed, and then we can get on with the serious business of moving lots and lots of earth and hardcore.
Now, the council isn't known for its transport projects, Councillor Sumner. Will this be on time and within budget?
Certainly hope so. We've allowed a very, very good level of contingency in terms of the timing to do the project. And the project is not starting on the same week as the pandemic, which is what Meadway did. It's not starting at a time when the utility companies either furloughed or withdrew all of their engineers that were supposed to be moving power cables, fibre optics, gas mains, water mains. All of those in Meadway, for example, were pulled off site, and then you have to program all of those back in. And we've got hundreds of days lead time in terms of getting contractors back to a site, and then it's a choreography, because you can't move a piece of a gas main, for example, if it's sitting underneath a fibre duct. So you have to wait for the fibre people to move first. And the report we're bringing to scrutiny in a week's time, it gives a really detailed explanation of the complexity of doing some of these jobs. Again, Meadway had great crested newts. That was a 3.5 month delay. There's a watercourse that runs underneath it. We don't have any great crested newts here. We have some pigeons, but no great crested newts and no water voles.
So by 2024, we'll be departing from the new bus stops here in Fleming Way. But will the project arrive on time? Well, just have to wait and see. Dave Woods, Swindon 105.5 in Fleming Way.